a training session organized by Men Christian Union with the Youth Association. And then we are starting with, we shall have the President's address, the Men Christian Union's address right away. The essence, like you've seen it, get up and hit the goal. We expect that at the end of this training, all our youths will have understood what is required to hit their goals in life. Everybody will probably have set a goal or the other for themselves. So this session, with this opportunity, we expect that their goals will be able to be achievable, and they will be able to set measurable goals for themselves wherever they find themselves. And then I'm sure by the time you hear the speaker, you'll be sure that you thank God that you are here, you have this opportunity. So I call on the Men Christian Union President, Chief Ogumekon, to give us the President's address.
To me, I don't go into too much protocol of Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so. We waste 5-10 minutes on that. So I just say, dear brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I greet and welcome you all to this special event. Since I'm not the speaker for this event, I'll just limit my address to how it came up and tell you a bit about the society. Men Christian Union is the oldest society in this cathedral. We marked our 91st anniversary in January 2021. The society was founded by a group of young members like you of this cathedral who were in their 20s and early 30s, but got it officially registered in 1930. So they've been in existence before 1930, but they only registered officially in 1930. Though there were no GSM and WhatsApp in those days, they were able to communicate and build a society we are all proud of today. We are proud of these fathers who had this foresight. We used to cater for a good Methodist church in Iwaya at Yaba, but now they have grown to adulthood because they are now a circuit. Today, we're in partnership with the Youth Fellowship of this cathedral to let them know that they are an integral part of the cathedral and that they need to make themselves relevant in the scheme of things by coming up with good programs. The youth are very intelligent and innovative, but need guidance. They should always have it at the back of their minds that nothing good comes easy. Some of you will just want something come easy. My father gave this to me. Because the father was feeding you, doing everything, you think life is so easy. By the time you are of age, you now start to work and live on your own. You know it's not that easy. Protests, vandalization, looting, social media attacks are not the solution. The youth should help to repackage Nigeria in such a way that the country will be getting the desired respect from the Community of Nations. There is no country that is perfect, just like human beings. The youth should start the building of good institutions that will make Nigeria great. You know that what happened during the American election, if not for the institution, the strong institution, it would have been a different thing today. But thank God for the institution. Why can't we have such institutions in Nigeria? I know it's possible, and our youth can start it now. Every country, the youth should start the building of good institutions that will make Nigeria great. We do not need to highlight our faults to the outside world in the name of freedom of speech. Every country has her own bad sides, but they only blow out the good ones for the world to rate them high. It is very disheartening that some asylum seekers forcibly paint Nigeria red. This is not fair. We must stop it. Nothing is wrong with Nigeria. It is we Nigerians that must examine ourselves Nigeria is great and shall continue to be great. We believe the youth should be able to cater for themselves as they grow up by being gainfully engaged in their work, in their working places, or their own enterprise. This is why Men Christian Union of Multimedia Methodist Cathedral has thought it fit to sponsor this training, which would be very beneficial to them. Mr. FOLA Daniel ADELESI is a prolific writer and a motivational speaker. He will be properly introduced later. Brothers and sisters, I sincerely welcome you all. God bless.
You can do better than that, please. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President, for a well thought out address there. So we go to the next item, which is introduction of the speaker. The speaker, sir? Oh, youth president. Okay, youth president. Okay, youth president's address. Okay, please come on, Mr. Daniels. That's the. Okay. I want to use this opportunity to recognize the presbyter. He's in our midst, very Reverend Kuyebi. Please, you are welcome, sir. So I'll call on the youth president, Mr. Daniels, to address this session. Thank you so much.
What is the lamp? What is the lamp? I thank you all for coming and joining us here today. We are pleased to be able to welcome everyone present here, especially the Men Christian Union that has brought this program together for us. Just before we get started, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you who have generously helped to make this program come true smoothly, and I appreciate our speaker for coming here. You have all chosen to be a part of this fellowship because our goals are mutual and our passions will help us to come together as one, and the energy we create as one allows us to achieve our individual as well as group goals. We need you as a Men Christian Union. We need you as much as you need us to achieve our targets. We are young, our energy is high, and we appreciate you all for bringing this program together. We are here to learn from our fathers, and we are here to learn from our speaker so that we don't make mistakes in life. Yes, we're allowed to make mistakes, but once we make mistakes, our corrections will make us better than where we started from. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Ozogula. With the next item now is the introduction of the guest speaker. Like the president said, Men Christian Union president, Mr. Guest speaker is a prolific writer. He has attended several courses, special sessions, and then is quite at home when it comes to goal setting. He's a woman resource specialist. He's a motivational speaker. And then you have cause to be grateful to God that you have this opportunity and you have it in our midst. He's an expert on goal setting and how to prevent failures. When you set your goals, he will give you steps on how you set the goals and how you go about achieving them. I don't want to talk much. When he hits the point, you'll be glad. Permit me to introduce Mr. ADELESI, Mr. FOLA ADELESI, who is the guest speaker for this session. Mr. FOLA ADELESI.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sirs. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting me, sir. And I'm thanking you specially and the church as a whole, because the kind of thing that we're doing here today is something that I have pressed for in several other churches. They are foot dragging with it. They are going at a snail pace. Some, I know already it's not going to happen. And some others are still foot dragging. I'm just hoping that maybe a miracle happens. This is something that is costing the church something to impact the youths. On my own part, there's nothing in it basically for me, and I'm saying that with all humility, because when I look at, okay, even if you buy 500 copies of my books versus what I charge as a training consultant, you realize that the gap is there. But it's a bit disappointing that the youths for whom this huge sacrifice has been made by the church, a number of them are still not here. Let me say something. I'm still a young person, and I can tell you for free that some of you, by the time you hit 35, you would wish you had done some things earlier. You know why? Officially, all over the world, youth ends at age 35. So by that standard, I'm no longer a youth. Do you understand? But by every Nigerian standard, I'm still a youth. You understand? By every Nigerian standard, I'm still a youth. But by global standard, I'm no longer a youth. And I look at myself today, I see some scholarship applications, I see some programs from schools abroad, from international and reputable organizations, and I can't apply anymore because I'm no longer 35. So when we come together and we talk about goal setting, the primary objective of this goal setting training is to help you maximize time, is to help you bridge the gap between, trying to figure things out yourself and hearing from people who have some things figured out. So it's so important that when you hear of opportunities like this, you maximize them, you leverage them, and you don't see it as an obligation. Because the people who are putting it together are actually doing you a huge favor. So on that note, all the youths here, please, I want you to give a huge round of applause to the men's fellowship and the church as a whole. You can do better than that. Better than that. Let it be an ovation. You know what an ovation is? Good. Aha. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you so much, sir. All right, so let's hit the nail on the head. We're talking about goal setting today, and unfortunately, I have just about 1 hour to discuss something that I should run on a full day or a 2-day training. So in fact, I must confess that's what led to writing this book. The first time I delivered this kind of lecture was at Faith Foundation. I don't know how many people here know Faith Foundation. Faith Foundation is one of the foremost enterprise development centers in this country. It was founded by one of the co-founders of GT Bank, Mr. FOLA, ADELESI, and they train entrepreneurs, people who are aspiring entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs whose businesses have been established, and then they have some C-suite trainings for them. So I was invited a couple of times, and they will give me 2 hours, and I had so much to say. At the end of the day, I said, wait a minute, I think it's time to write a book, because I always ended the training in fact, a quarter way into my slides, and there's still so much to say. So that's why I ended up writing that book from the rest of the content in my slide. So personal assessment and goal setting. Multimedia, please. I know I'm handsome, but they don't want to see my face. Let them see my slide. Thank you. All right. What's the objective of this? You're going to understand what it is to set goals and how to avoid failing with your goals. Then, one of the things we need to understand is that a lot of people know how to set goals. For example, if I ask you to set goals for the next 1 year, many of you will start putting some things down. So the real problem is not that you cannot set goals. The real problem is that you are not paying attention to why your goals are failing. You've been setting goals for 20 years, you've been setting goals for 10 years, you've been setting goals for 5 years, and you're still wondering how come you're not able to achieve your goals. So the reason you're not able to achieve your goals is the major thing I want to tackle here today. But does goal setting work? I'll give you a quick background. Thankfully, we're Christians, and you must understand that it's not enough to write down your goals, you need to speak. Numbers 14:28 says, as you have said in my ears, so will I do unto you. And that's one powerful scripture. I'm also a pastor. I'm not here to preach, but I'll teach quickly from that verse and connect it to goal setting. You see, when God said to Moses, because it was God speaking to Moses in the book of Numbers chapter 14 verse 28, after the children of Israel complained consistently unto Moses, God said he was taking them to a land flowing with milk and honey, but all the children of Israel kept talking about death, death, death. And they said to Moses, is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have brought us out of Egypt to come and die in the wilderness? Why have you brought us out here to kill us? They forgot all the miracles, all the blessings that God had done for them. And they kept seeing death because they couldn't see a way forward. Instead of seeing possibility, instead of remembering how they ate manna, instead of remembering how they took water from the rock, they didn't remember all of that. They didn't remember the 10 plagues. They kept looking at the difficulty, the mountain in front of them, instead of looking at the possibility, and they kept talking about death. Then one day God got angry and said to Moses, as you have said in my ears, so will I do unto you. You know what that scripture tells me? It tells me that God can have a plan for you, but your mouth can change the plans of God. Because God says in Jeremiah 29:11, He says, the thoughts that I have towards you, they are thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you a future and an expected end. But in 14:28, He says, as you have said in my ears, so will I do unto you. In other words, I can have a better plan for you, but if your mouth does not align with my plans for your life, I'm just going to abandon my own plans and follow what your mouth is saying. Are you still with me? Don't worry, we're still teaching goal setting. Amen? We're still teaching goal setting. So I needed to establish that to let you know that your goals can actually be killed with your mouth. So you can set the goal and nothing is going to work because you've only written the goals. Your mouth have not actually confessed what you have written down. Why is it important to say these things? First of all, how do you become Christians? How do you become born again? Romans 10:9 and 10. You will believe, first of all, in your heart, and then confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. And that's how you become born again, isn't it? Imagine that just your confession makes you a Christian and wipes away all your sins. And in Genesis chapter 1, how did we have this whole world? The Bible says, and God said, let there be light. And God said, from Genesis chapter 1 up until chapter 26, when He was going to make man, and He then said, let us therefore make man in our own image. Everything God created started with saying. So it's not enough to write down those goals. After you have written the goals, what are you saying after those goals? Because your mouth controls the physical from the spirit realm. Remember Romans 10:17 also, it says, for our God is a God that calls for those things that be not as though they were. So if He is calling for those things that be not as though they were, it means that you can write all the goals, you can have all the strategies. If you don't say the right things, you can kill those things with your mouth. Does that make sense to you? So it's very important. And what was I going to say? In 2008, I wrote a paper and I said to myself, I was going to get married in 4 years' time. I thought I was going to marry someone that I was dating. But I had spoken with my mouth that I was going to marry when? In 4 years' time. Do you know that the person I was dating at the time is not the person I eventually married, but I still got married 4 years after? How did it happen? I just realized, and after praying, and I had to come to terms with the reality. The person I was dating at the time, we would have a lot of arguments, we would have a lot of fights. What's going on? I don't want to marry this kind of person that we're always fighting. It doesn't mean she's a bad person, but we're just constantly disagreeing about something. So I had to walk away and start all over. Then when I went to serve, I met someone God just arranged it. In the same platoon that I was going to come into, God brought the lady, and then God arranged it, listen carefully, so that you know that sometimes your loss can be a blessing. Robbers went to her dormitory on camp, orientation camp, and stole her phone, amongst other things that they stole from the dormitory. Unfortunately, I had 2 mobile phones on camp. You see, I was a big boy, right? So when I heard that her phone was stolen, I said, oh, I didn't even know her. I didn't know her name. I said, okay. And I just couldn't watch someone else being helpless. And that was my nature, which is supposed to be the nature of every Christian. So I just gave her a phone and I walked away. Didn't ask for her name, didn't ask for phone number, didn't ask for anything. Just gave her a phone and walked away. From that day, she started coming after me. The person who gave me a phone didn't ask for my name, didn't ask for anything. And I was also in orientation broadcasting service, what you call more like a small radio station on camp. So everybody on camp knew me and knew where to find me. So she would come after me and then we'll start talking. That's when I got to know her name. That's when I got to know about her, and then we got talking. And you know, when someone spends time with you, you know, the rest is history. She has 2 children for me today. Our people are threatening me. I've told them to come and take her. All right, so why am I telling you this? I uttered a word 4 years earlier than the marriage happened. But some people today, they're planning to get married. They say, when am I going to get married? How am I going to get married? Will it ever happen? Will I even find a good man? There are no good men out there. And it's part of your goals to get married in 2 or 5 years' time. But your statement constantly is, how will I even get a good man to marry? How will I even find, are you a good person? You know, nobody ever admits that they're a bad person, right? So if you believe you're a good person, why are you asking, are there still good men out there? If you're still a good person, there are good people out there. You can't be the only good person on earth. Your mouth has to align with the things that you are saying. So, what's the definition of goals? I'll give you 2 quick definitions, then I'll go to why those goals are failing. Wikipedia says, a goal is a desired result, emphasis, that a person or a system envisions. In other words, a desired result that you have thought about in your mind that you want to achieve. A person or a system. A system could be a government, a system could be a church, a system could be a non-profit, a system could be a larger organization, international, local, or state. So, and plans and commit to achieve. Plans and commit to achieve. In other words, you don't just hope that it's going to happen by itself. You have to plan for it. You have to commit. There are 2 different things when you talk about plan and commit. Plan is putting something on paper, saying these are the steps we're going to take. These are the actions we're going to take. What does it mean to commit? For example, if you want to make first class, and I'm still going to use that illustration much later, you know that you can't wait till exams are near before you start reading, right? And like many of us do, you read overnight a day to the examination. Can you make your first class that way? Except the exam is really cheap. But if the exam is not really cheap, if it's typical of what you were taught from the commencement of the semester, you can make first class that way. So how do you make it? You commit 2 hours of study on a daily basis from the beginning of the semester. And if you stick with at least 2 hours daily from the beginning of the semester till the time that you're going to write your exam, chances are that you're going to succeed, isn't it? That's the difference between just planning and committing. Plan is to have an idea on paper of what you want to do. Committing is to actually doing it on a daily basis. And sometimes we want to have a goal. We want it to happen. But we don't commit to it over time. We don't see that there's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that will take a while. So we just want it to happen quickly. But that commitment is where you begin to achieve your goal. Without the commitment, you can't achieve a goal. Without the commitment, you can't achieve any goal. So we'll get there. Then, a personal or organizational desired endpoint in some sort of assumed development. Okay, let me just skip this and go to my own definition. Listen very carefully to this. A goal is a smaller component of your vision. What did I call it? Come on, talk to me, your young people. A goal is a smaller component of your vision, which acts as a roadmap, specifying what needs to be done, where, when, and how, in order to take you from where you are to where you want to be. Now, let me emphasize a goal being a smaller component of your vision. If you set a goal and you don't have a vision, you're not likely to achieve that goal. I'll say that again. If you set a goal and you don't have a vision, you're not likely to achieve the goal. Why is that? I'll tell you. How many of you here, is there anyone here who has tried to lose weight? Anyone? You've tried to lose weight. Let me see your hands. You've tried to lose weight. Any other person? How much weight do you have that you're losing? Any other person you've tried to lose weight? Okay. Now, you've not been able to succeed, right? You have to an extent. Okay, but you haven't. Okay, let me tell you why people struggle with weight loss. It's usually because there's no serious motivation. And I'll give you an example. Imagine that, my sister, what's your name? Sorry? Blessing. Aha. Imagine that all of a sudden you just walk into a shopping mall and someone walks up to you and say, "Hey, Blessing, how are you? My name is Lincoln Gates. I'm the son of Bill Gates. I'd like to marry you." You're not married, right? So Lincoln Gates meets you in a shopping mall and says, I'll marry you in 4 weeks, but I need you to lose some weight. Is it going to happen or not? It will happen, right? Why is it going to happen? Motivation, because the son of Lincoln Gates wants to marry you. This is somebody who has been on the top richest list for well over 20 years. He doesn't fall below number 3 on the richest men in the world. Even if he's not currently the richest man in the world, we all know who Bill Gates is. All of a sudden, his son walks up to you. You know how potentially rich you are when he marries you? The moment you say, yes, I do, you are like $75 billion rich. I didn't say billion naira, $1 billion. Currency with a surname. So, are you going to lose that weight in 4 weeks or not? You will sleep in the gym. You will sleep in the gym. So, you realize that when you have a goal and there's no bigger vision, you will not achieve that goal, because the vision is the motivation for that goal. It's the same thing with the academics again. You realize that you really want to make a first class, or let's say that your father tells you, I'm going to make you a multi-millionaire, and you know that your father has the money. If you make a first class, but if you don't make a first class, I'll will all my property to charity. When your father tells you that kind of thing, you know you need to be serious. And if you know your father, that your father doesn't joke, whatever he says, he will do it. And he has told you, I'm going to will all my property to charity. While I'm still alive, I'll take care of myself. You have to sort yourself. And then he says, the only condition for you to get everything I have is that you make a first class. Will you make it or not? Even if you don't make the first class, you will make every effort to make a 2-1. And then you can appeal to your father and say, sir, you see, it's hard. It's not easy. At least you can say, I tried. I made 2-1. Then you can reconsider. So my point is, you need to have an overall vision. You see, the only thing that keeps me up at night, the only thing that makes me write all these books, the thing that makes me want to go and talk to people is my vision. Because when you have a vision, you will now break the vision down into small components. Those are the things that become your goals. It's those goals that you need to do that will then form your habits. When I look at young people and I see your habits, I can tell whether you have a vision or not. You know why? Your habits tells me what your goals are. Your goals show me what your vision is. Your habits will tell me what your goals are, and your goals will show me what your vision is, because the vision is the most important thing. So if you read on a daily basis, I know how this person wants to succeed. If you write on a daily basis, I know how this person wants to become a Wole Soyinka, or this person wants to become a professor. If you study the Bible on a daily basis, and you should, I know that, okay, maybe this person wants to become a better Christian, or you're most likely a pastor already. So your habits will show me your goals, and your goals will show me your vision. If you don't have some consistent habits, forget it, you can't achieve those goals. So, range of goals, there are short-term goals, there are mid-term goals, there are long-term goals. There are short-term goals, there are mid-term goals, there are long-term goals. A short-term goal will be anything between now and 6 months. Any goal that you want to achieve within 6 months, you can call it a short-term goal. Then a mid-term goal will be from 6 months to 5 years. Anything, or you can say a year to 5 years actually. Anything from a year to 5 years, you can call that a mid-term goal. But anything that will take more than 5 years is actually a long-term goal. So let's now talk about 30 reasons why goals fail. 30 reasons why goals fail. Number 1 is written goals. Written goals. Even the Bible says in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 and 4, it says, write the vision, make it plain upon tablets, so that he that reads it may do what? May run with it. God was speaking to a prophet and he told him, write the vision. You know, today we brag about using tablets, we brag about using iPad. Who was the first person to use a tablet in history? It was Moses. God gave him the 10 commandments. And the guy broke the iPad in one day. He went back to God, God gave him another tablet. You think I'm joking? How did God describe what he was giving in the Bible? Did he not call it a tablet? And he was the first person to use a tablet. But you know that God wrote it down for him. If it wasn't important, God wouldn't have written it. But then God also said to Habakkuk, write the vision. And God was also speaking to Daniel when he prayed, and he wrote down the things that he saw. So writing is so important. But beyond what we even have in the spiritual space, in the physical space, there was a study carried out at Harvard postgraduate school, and they discovered that in the class of a postgraduate, 84% of the people who were leaving the school did not have a vision, had no idea, had no plan for their lives. 84% of the class. Then they discovered that there was another 10%. You help me do the maths. My maths is a bit poor. That's why I speak good English. So my English compliments for the maths. So there was 84% that did not actually concentrate. Then there was 3%, which was top of the class, and the 3% top of the class, they had a goal, they had a clear vision, they knew what they wanted to do. How many percent is left? 84 plus 3? We have how many left? 13%. So the remaining 13% of the class, they had a goal, but it wasn't written down. They had a plan, but it wasn't written down. So 84% had no goal, no vision, what you call in Nigeria, no future ambition. 13% had goals, they had plans, but it wasn't written. Then only 3% had a goal and a plan. 10 years down the line, they interviewed all of them again. They realized that the 84%, they were just getting by. But you see, the 13%, they were earning something decent because at least they had a plan. But you see, when they got to the 3%, they were earning 10 times more than the 13%. Not even the 84%. They were earning 10 times more than the 13% that had a goal, but it wasn't written down. It tells you that number one way to fail at your goal is to not write them down. The faintest pen is brighter than the smartest memory. The faintest pen is brighter than the smartest memory. If you have a goal, you must always write it down. You must always envision. Why is it that God said to them that if you can look at this snake, the brazen snake that was lifted up, why is it that God told them that you'll be healed? God created an image for them. Why is it that God told them when they were leaving the land of Egypt, He says, I'm taking you to a land flowing with milk and honey. God was creating a picture in their minds. So it's to tell you that when you write something down and you see it constantly, there's something that it does to your mind. So you must always write down the goal. That's the number one reason. Lack of written goals or no written goal, that's number one reason why goals fail. Number two, adoption of goals. Adoption of goals. Please focus more on the slide so that they can see the slide. Adoption of goals. I have on the slide 2 twin babies, and it shows copy and paste. You see, one of the things that a lot of people do when they want to write goals is that they just go online and they just copy what someone else has written and they download it and they put their name and say, this is my goal for the year. That's not how to write a goal. You see, the person who wrote that goal that you are downloading or copying from the internet probably lives in a different continent. And if that person lives in a different continent, it means that your realities are different. And if your realities are different, the steps you need to take in order to achieve those goals are also going to be different. Are you following me? Are you following? Come on, talk to me. Are you following me? So if you copy the goals of someone in a different continent, your realities are going to be different and your action steps are going to be different. So don't just copy a goal without looking at what your own peculiarities are. It's okay to take a document as a template, but the moment you take that document as a template, now look at it. What is my own reality? That person has 24 hours electricity. I don't have 24 hours electricity. I had to provide for my own electricity. I had to provide my own water. I had to provide my own, whatever it is that you need. Factor in all of that. How much time do I need to work? How many hours do I really have? Maybe the person lives in a city where there's no traffic. You live in a city where there's traffic. You need to factor in all of that. So don't just copy and paste the goals of somebody else. Remember how we're in secondary school? Sometimes either as a fault of our parents, our teachers, or just peer pressure. You go into science classes because you thought it was fashionable to be in the sciences. Your friends are going into the science class. All of you go into the science class. Your friends are going to art class. You say, oh, it makes sense. Sounds good to be called a lawyer. And then you go there. That's why you just chose to be a lawyer. You didn't really have a plan. And when I studied mass communication, I had quite a number of my friends in the sciences who came over to come and study mass communication. I'm wondering, Kile Wambi. Communication and physics, they have nothing in common. You know why I laugh at them a lot? I felt that they went to go out. Well, some of them I can't blame them because they just had to do it to impress their parents. So when they studied the physics, the chemistry, and when they saw all the oxygen, they saw all the nitrogen, they saw everything like that, after WAEC, they came back to come and study mass comm. Why waste time studying physics, chemistry, biology, geography when you're going to do a mass comm project? So if you can, and you have people who can talk to your parent, I guess, okay, quite a number of you are already above that. But your younger ones, try as much as possible not to waste their time in that way. So don't do a copy and paste. Don't go into a field because that's what your friend now wants to do. Don't do something because that's what they say is raining. That's why I keep telling people, the first and the most important thing is to discover your purpose. What is your purpose in life? Because, you see, I can teach you goals for 24 hours. If you don't know what your purpose in life is, I'm wasting my time. Because your purpose is what will determine your goals. I discovered my purpose, then began to set goals in line with my purpose. And if you're a Christian, your purpose is not something that you craft by yourself. Your purpose has already been made. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And you were conceived because God had a plan for your life. So your purpose is not something that you create, you discover it. When Moses was to be born, we know that he had a purpose. God told Jeremiah himself, I have a purpose for your life. And one day I was reading the Bible, Isaiah chapter 50 verse 4, and I discovered my own purpose. I have given you the tongue of the learned, that you should know how to speak a word in season. And the day I saw it, I was like, wow, the sovereign Lord has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season unto him that is weary. That's why when I talk to people, there are times I may not even say certain things, but there's a spark of inspiration in your mind, in your heart, that leads you onto your purpose. Why? Because I'm fulfilling my purpose and the Holy Spirit is at work, and it's going to cause you to discover something else that I probably am not even saying. So discover your purpose first, and then start setting goals. Are we together? Then number 3, creating goals hurriedly. You can't create goals hurriedly. 5 minutes, you've gotten a document. Okay, this year I'm going to take another degree. 6 months time, I'll take a master's degree. I'll take a postgraduate. You see, all of that, they are simply milestones. For you to call it a goal, the question is, why do you want to achieve this particular goal? What will this goal do for you? How does this goal add value to you? So if you just write down goals that you want to achieve and you cannot answer questions like how it adds value to you, it's not a goal. You won't achieve it at the end of the day. And even if you achieve it, it's an effort in futility when you cannot say, this is exactly how this goal adds value to me. So it's important to be able to spend time with your goal. Don't create the goals hurriedly. Spend time with, sometimes you can create a goal, but don't fix your mind that nothing will change in this goal. Because at the end of the day, the goal is the important thing, but the plans and the strategies can change. Are you still here? The plans can change, the strategy can change, but the goal is important. That shouldn't change. But if your purpose comes into play after you have set a goal, then that goal needs to change and align with your purpose. You know why it's important to make sure the goal aligns with your purpose? Purpose is the one that God sets for you. So if you set any goal that contradicts that purpose, you'll just be wasting your time. So what's the easiest way to get God to support you? Follow what God already planned for you. If you follow what he already planned for you and you set goals, you do your daily habits and everything in line with that purpose, you just realize that it's easy for God to support you. It's so easy. So one of the things that I found out is that when I talk, I don't struggle to talk. When I talk, I get more attention. There was a day, somehow, someone invited me to come and pitch for a business. I went to pitch for a business. And after speaking, the man who was sitting down there happens to be a very senior pastor and had over 2,000 pastors under him. And there was a conference coming. I didn't even know that they were going to have that kind of conference and pastors were going to be gathered. They were already looking for someone who was going to talk to their pastors. And when I pitched for the business, he said, don't worry. In fact, I understood everything you have said. Don't worry. Come and talk to our pastors. That's how they invited me to come and talk to over 2,500 pastors in a single auditorium. And then I got on stage, spoke for 30 minutes. And everybody was shouting, everybody was clamoring. I didn't even know that people came from the UK, people came from the US, people came from South Africa, people came from Kenya for that meeting. They came to me after the event and said, sir, I think you need to come to the US. Another one called me, sir, I think you need to come to Kenya. The one from South Africa gave me businesses. Why was it that easy? I was just in line with something that God already prepared, and I was setting all of my goals in that line. Do you understand? And I can say this to you because you are Christians. If I teach this in the corporate setting, I just tell them, don't copy and paste. I just tell them, don't create goals orally. I can't tell them the other part because it's not a church. But I can tell you this one emphatically because it's a church and God is involved. Don't forget, the Bible even says that there's a God who rules in the affairs of who? Then, generalization of goals. Don't just say, I want to be rich. Question is, how? Don't just say, I want to succeed. Succeed at what? And when? It's very important to say, I want to succeed, for example, for me, I want to succeed at being a global public speaker. Why do I want to succeed at being a global public speaker? It's because the calling of my life is in inspiring the productivity of people. And I cannot do it only as a local champion. I must do it at a global level. I must do it. So when I speak, and that's why you must understand that this isn't just a meeting. When I speak, I see that the people I'm speaking to, they are senators, they are governors, they are leaders, they are presidents. They are not ordinary people. I don't see youths, I see presidents. Because a time is coming very soon, and it's going to happen that you will meet me at the airport, and they will be clearing the way. They want to throw everybody away. I say, no, stop. That person. He said, this man came to speak in our church one day, and then you have become the governor of your state. So when I talk to people, those are the people. That's what you may see yourself as, somebody who is struggling, looking for a job, trying to figure out what to do with yourself, or you are in school or something like that. But the people I'm seeing here is governors and senators and kings that I'm seeing. And you don't have to believe it. But if God says he has given me the sovereign, if the Bible says the sovereign Lord has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should speak a word in season, it's for a reason. You are not ordinary. So even if you don't know, you know there's a way you cannot see something in yourself and it's other people that are seeing it, right? Okay. So the people that I'm seeing, they are kingmakers. Then setting unrealistic goals. Sometimes we set unrealistic goals, and I understand that young people are under pressure. You see, we're in the age of iPhone 12, iPhone 11, and I see young people. I've been working for quite a number of years. And I'm still young compared to our daddies and mommies here. But you see, I've been working, even while I was in school, I was already doing some of the things I'm doing today. So I've been in this thing for more than 20 years. When I see the phones that some young people are buying, I'm like, excuse me? Now, it's not that I cannot afford the phone, but I am shocked that they are not shocked that they can put that kind of money on a phone as young people. Now, let me give you a reorientation, and don't mind me, don't call me a bushman. You see, no matter how rich you are as a young man, no matter how rich you are as a young person, if you are putting so much money, I don't want to put a benchmark to it, but you can be a bit reasonable about it. Or let me even say, let me be bold. Sir, as a young person, you're not married, you're not up to 30, you're not up to 35, you use a phone that is above 100,000, you're already eating your future. You may not agree with me now, but if you think about what I'm saying much later and you analyze it, you use any phone that is more expensive than 100,000, you are eating your future. Even if you don't have bills to pay, the excess of that phone, put it in a business. Somebody said some years ago, he said, when things are better, we will buy better things. When things are better, we will buy better things. But you know why people cannot buy better things later? All the money that should be in a business so that they can buy better things later, they've eaten it. When single people are buying a phone worth $500,000, I'm like, are you mad? Something is wrong with you. Even if you buy a phone of $250,000, something is still wrong with you. As a young person, somebody gives it to you and you have a phone of $250,000, you are looking for a job. Don't even try coming to me. You have a phone of $300,000 in your hand, you are looking for a job. When you can actually start a business, you can start e-commerce store, or you can start anything from your own house with less than $100,000. You now carry a phone of 250,000. You are not looking for a job. You are wearing an Apple Watch of 160,000. You tell me you are looking for a job. You are not serious now. Am I being too hard? Can we tell ourselves the truth? You see, young people need to learn delayed gratification. And we're going to talk about it. If there's anything I learned from my father drove a Volkswagen for 17 years. Not because he couldn't change his car, but while his colleagues were driving bigger cars, he was building his house. And he said to my mother, who was even pressurizing him, let's change this car. You know Volkswagen, right? B2, Ijakpa, hearing better. That you drive on the road and everybody will be. One day I was in the car with my dad. We were coming from Ikene back to Lagos, and a downfall driver was abusing our family. But guess what? My father was into real estate, so he knows the value of real estate, so he was building his house and finishing it up. So when people ask him for his address, the first thing that surprises them is that it's his name that is on the streets. That shocks them. They say, hey, is it possible? This man that drives Volkswagen B2, how come his name is on the street? Then they come to the street and see a very decent apartment, and they realize that he's the landlord. Say, some of them go back thinking, you know in Yoruba when they say Yoronu Bawon, when they eventually change the car, what did he buy? He bought a Volvo 740 GL. But he did one thing. When my sister was getting married, guess what my sister got as a wedding gift? 2 plots of land. Because as he built his own house, he was now buying lands in some other places. So when my sister was getting, because that one is a woman, when she was getting married, or after she got married, I signed as a party to the deed of transfer that was given to the husband and my sister. They were given 2 plots of land as wedding gifts. The third plot of land, where they got that land, the third plot of land, which was bought for 80,000 naira, my mom sold it last year for 8.5 million. How much did they buy the land? She sold it last year after lockdown. Somebody came to buy the land, 8.5 million. So when we're telling you that if you are using certain things, you are eating your future, you may not understand what we're talking about. Even as a woman, don't hope that somebody is coming around to take care of you. There's nothing wrong in you having a solid business, so much so that when the man comes around, he realizes that you are ready made. So he can't tell you that I picked you up from the gutter. He can't tell you that I made you. If he wants to talk, he will think twice. She was already made. She was entrepreneurial in nature. She was enterprising. She had it in her. So you give her 10,000, she turns it to 100,000. And let me tell you the truth. Some of you, and I'm not cursing, some of you ladies, you are going to start a business, become wealthy, and you're going to be the one to give your husband a push. Your husband is going to be rich, but when you marry, he will not have anything, or may not have much, but you will be supporting for a while. You will be helping for a while. Then later the break will come. But if the two of you marry and there is nothing, what will happen? Your Gary drinking will be long. I hope I'm not too hard. You see, that's part of what makes me different as a motivational speaker. I don't come and excite you. I hit the nail on the head. I speak the truth in a hard way, so that when you go back home, you won't forget me easily. By the time you want to buy the next phone, it will just be ringing in your head. That man said you are stupid. If you buy a phone that is 250,000, it will be ringing in your head. As soon as you're about to do the transfer, you just press the thing. Don't go. I can't buy this phone. Then you go and buy the one of 50,000 naira. Sir, the phone of 50,000 naira and the phone of 1 million naira, because I know there are phones of even 1.2 million naira now. Is it not phone call they are both going to make? When you're talking, when you call the other person, are they going to ask you, which phone are you using to call me? So if you call the president now, will the phone call be rejected because you are not using an expensive phone? Be wise. Say to your neighbor, be wise. So an example of unrealistic goal, I wish my slide is up there. I've told you, it's not our faces they want to see. Keep the slide there, because there are images on the slides that I want to show. Great. Now, look at the first one. What happened to the first image of the animal? The animal was overweight, right? You're putting too much load on the animal. And as for the young man, do you think that young man can ever lift that weight? What needs to happen to him? He needs to go through a process. He needs to grow. And even if he just grows and doesn't develop his muscles, will he ever be able to lift that weight? No. As he grows, he will develop his muscle. Life is in phases, men are in sizes. Life is in phases, men are in what? Sizes. So if he's growing and developing his muscles, he will eventually get to that point where he can lift that thing. But as for the animal, there's nothing that can be done. You've already overweight him. You get out of university today, you want to become a vice chancellor in 10 years. How will that happen now? Because the moment you graduate from university, you go for NYC for 1 year. After NYC for 1 year, you go for master's degree for 2 years. They usually say it's a 1 year, 6 months program, but it can take 3 years or even more, depending on strike. After that, you will now do a PhD program. Your PhD program is supposed to be 3 years. May God not allow you meet some unfortunate professors, because they will turn a 3-year program to an 8-year program. So you see people who are on PhD program for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, doing a PhD that they should have gotten 4 years ago. So when you now get your PhD, let's even say you get your PhD in 3 years exactly, you need to have been lecturing for 10 years before you even enter the professorial cadre. When you now enter the professorial cadre after 10 years, you must have written 21, minimum of 21 papers published in reputable journals before you become head of department or before you are considered for some serious professorial positions. So how are you going to become vice chancellor exactly 10 years after graduation? You realize that that goal is unrealistic, right? Some people say, I'm going to graduate today. You are a child of nobody. You want to start living in Lekki and Banana Island within 2 years of graduation. And you say, my mates are living there. My colleagues that are living there, they don't have 2 heads. You say, you see those ones, they don't have 2 heads. But their father had 10 heads. And if you were not born in a home where your father had 10 heads, where will you start from? You start from the scratch. I believe in miracles. I know God can turn your story around, things can change, but realistically speaking, can you graduate and move to Lekki in 2 years? Fresh graduate with a job. Even if your job was at ExxonMobil and you start earning $500,000 or $1 million 1 month, are you not going to eat out of that money? And most likely a young person will buy a car first. So it's unrealistic. When you set your goals, calm down. Be calming down. Just like that young boy said to his mommy, young people, be calming down. I understand the pressure. I'm young too. I understand the pressure. But if there's anything that is helping me, if there's anything at all that is helping me, I don't look at you and put myself under pressure. I don't look at you and put myself under pressure. So don't set unrealistic goals. That's why somebody will go out. Some of those phones that some people are carrying, they borrowed money to buy those phones. So somebody else borrowed money to buy an expensive phone that nobody even cares about. Then you too, you're under pressure. You go and look for all the money, you save money, you do some serious and legitimate businesses, and then you want to carry all of that money to go and buy a single phone. So you buy a phone of 450,000 naira because it's the latest phone. And as you are going home at Oshodi bus stop, they collect it from your hand. What will happen to you? As you are going home, or even at Abat Macaulay Junction, they just walk up. You know boys now, they just walk up to you. As you are about to enter the bus, they just walk up to you. 450K gone in less than 10 seconds. In how many seconds? 10 seconds. 450K gone. Oh, Jonah. So clarity on the goals. When you set your goals, make sure that the goals are clear. Make sure that don't let the goal become ambiguous. Sometimes when some people set goals and they are trying to explain their goals to you, they confuse themselves. Have you seen somebody who is trying? I've seen young people trying to pitch a business idea to me, and then the person is talking. I say, wait, I'm trying to understand what you're talking about. This thing you're saying, it can't work. He says, sir, it can't work. I've thought it through. And then they start saying something, and they realize that the two of us are confused at the end of the day. So instead of increasing the confusion, I said, please, let's end the conversation here. Make sure that your goal is simple. Simplicity is class. Simplicity is not cheap. Simplicity is class. It provides speed. It provides direction when something is unambiguous. So make sure that it is very clear. Then, lack of planning with the goals. What this simply means is that most times we write our goals and then leave it in a document, we leave it somewhere, then we go and do other things that we want to do. You know that some of your goals are connected to finances, isn't it? But when you write those goals, you now drop them. It is when you have spent your money halfway that you remember that, I have a goal somewhere. Then you now go and pick the goal. You realize that the money that is left cannot accommodate those goals again. So you drop the goals again. The next month, you don't ask yourself, what are my goals, before you start spending the money. As soon as the money hits your account, bam! You first of all do data. After doing data, and you have like 2-3 phones, you do I say, my phones? No, my phones cannot be without data. You put data on all the 3 phones. You put airtime on all the 3 phones. Then you recharge so many other things. And some of you even pay to play games. You recharge, you do subscription on all those games that you play. After doing subscription on the games that you play, you do DSTV subscription. Then you say, okay, so what's the next shoe that I'm supposed to buy? You buy the next shoe, buy the next shirt, buy the next wristwatch. After doing all of that, that's when you remember, I wanted to do ICANN. I wanted to pay for NIPR. I wanted to pay for CIPM. You look at what is left, you spent all the money. So when we say lack of planning with the goals, it means that you don't spend money without revisiting your goals. As soon as money is, you see, when money is coming, and I learned this from my dad. One of the things, my dad was so disciplined. He was so disciplined. And he was meticulous with planning. One of the things that he would do is that he will write all the things that should happen when the money he's expecting comes. So when the money comes, he will first of all revisit the paper, and the money will be spent according to what is on the paper. Anything that is on the paper, that is not on the paper, if it is not an emergency, let it wait. In those days when MTN first of all came, my dad would buy MTN cards. 15 was the biggest card then. My dad will buy all those cards. He will not throw them away. He will stack them together as proof to monitor what he was spending on airtime. To monitor what he was spending on airtime, he will put all the cards together. So he wasn't just wasting money. He was actually being careful. But these days, young people, we will set goals. We want to do this. I'm going to write this exam. I'm going to do this. Some of you, the money you have spent is enough to relocate you to Canada. You also have the plan to relocate. Last year, you bought a phone. This year, you bought another phone. Before the end of this year, you buy another phone. How much is IELTS exam? 79,000 naira. One of your phones is enough to write the exam. And who knows, you might just pass it at one sitting. You are on your way already. But you've been spending the money on several things. And I also appreciate, you see, it's nice to look good, right? It's nice to look good. God wants to look good. It's a great thing. But doing an air of 250,000 on your head, that's a plot of land you are carrying on your head. An hair of 350,000, that's more than a plot of land. At least if you come to my village, you can still get a plot of land. And you go to my wife's village, you will get 3 plots of land. On your head, why carry a plot of land on your head? When you have the money, when you are a billionaire, and I know that kind of money will not mean so much to you. And I'm not saying that those things are bad, so that you don't get me wrong. But my emphasis is that a lot of people are spending the money they don't have, or the money that they cannot sustain. So you later get under the kind of pressure because you can't sustain that lifestyle. If anything happens, maybe you lose a job, or maybe there's a pay cut, you can't sustain that lifestyle. You feel ashamed. You see what other people are carrying on their head, you feel intimidated because you can't carry an hair of 250,000. Sir, the hair of 250,000, or ma, how long are you going to carry it? Can you carry it for more than 2 months? Single hair, you can carry it for more than 2 months, Abby? Is it everlasting hair? But you know the funny thing? The men you are trying to impress with the hair, we don't even know the value of the hair. The men you are trying to impress with the hair, we don't know the value. The person that did 100 naira hair, shuku, patawo, kojusoko, ipako elede, and the person that did 250,000, we don't know the difference. That's the truth for men. It's fellow ladies that know. So who are you doing the hair for? All right, meditation on the goals. It's very important to meditate, to spend time. Remember that the Bible even says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, for thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and you shall observe to do according to all that is written in it. For so shall you make your way prosperous, and you shall have good success. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. So meditation cannot be taken away from the success equation. You have your goals, you brood on it. You have your goals, you think about it. It's important that you meditate. Oh, okay. So discipline. I'll spend a bit more time on this. Discipline. You see, I'll break the discipline into 3 categories: moral, financial, and procrastination. Moral, financial, and procrastination. You see, for young men and women, moral discipline is very important. Absolutely important. Listen, sex is sweet. And we should let young people know that sex is sweet. But it only does not have consequences if done within the right context. Sex is sweet. You can have it and get away with it anytime if you are married. But let me give you an illustration. Imagine that, you know, we used to have one governor in Ogun State whose name is Benga Daniel. So my own name is FOLA Daniel. So you know that one day I'm going to become governor, right? Daniel here is not from our state, so you don't even dream of it. Maybe you can become governor in your own state. So in my own state, now imagine that I'm going to become a governor. And let's say in like 10 years' time, I become the governor of my state. Then a lady that I have slept with and I have rubbished, I have told her to get away, get lost. I don't ever want to see you. But she has a child. She stomached all the insults. The day she hears that I've become the governor, what do you think she will do? She will show up at the governor's lodge and throw the baby in the recession. Is your baby, is your governor's baby? Is your governor's baby? Even his wife does not know. Are you pressmen? That's what they will rush to. So all your supporters will come. They will carry the baby and bring to the governor's office. Say, sir, there's a lady at the reception. She brought a baby and said that the baby belongs to you. What nonsense is that? What rubbish is that? Get away. Who is that? I say, Oga, calm down. The lady says she knows you. She mentioned certain details that it's true, she knows you, Oga. And then they bring the lady. Iwani, what do you want? Why do you want to spoil my political ambition? He said, calm down, I'm not spoiling anything. Just give me what I want and I'll go. What do you want? He said, 10 million. But as a governor, you don't even earn that. And you don't have that kind of money. So what do? You take money from state government's purse. That's how embezzlement of funds starts. And when that lady takes 10 million and goes away, will she stay away forever? She will come back. So long as you are still the governor, what will she do? She will come back. He said, don't ever come back. She's coming again. There are only 2 things that can happen. You don't want her to come back, you become a killer. You tell them, follow her, kill her, silence her. Or she comes back and asks for, and when she comes back, she will not ask for 10 because she got 10 the other time. And then she will ask for how much? 20. And then you go and steal money again and give to her. And you are looking for second time. Then your enemies who have been bought over, you are trying to show them, no, we have to follow rule of law. We have to follow procedure. And they already know how you took 30 million from an account to pay your girlfriend. They will sell the information to your opponent. So your life at the end of the day is what? It's doomed. So 5 minutes of pleasure can end your future. 5 minutes of pleasure can do what? End your future. That's why it's so important that for women, for ladies, young men too, you must have moral discipline. What ended the future of Samson? Lack of moral discipline. He was always going where he was told not to go. His eyes was always on the kind of women they told him not to follow. You see, no matter how glorious your destiny is as a man, you follow the wrong woman, you are doomed. No matter how glorious your destiny is as a man. You see, just like, let me say it the way Dr. Lukaya will say it. He said, it is not a crime to have an erection. But if you follow the direction of your erection, that's the end of your life. Am I being vulgar? But I'm telling you the truth, right? It's not a crime to have an erection. But if you follow the direction of your erection, that's the end of your life. So you need to be morally disciplined. Then financial discipline. I've touched a bit on financial discipline. You need to learn to wait. It's not everything that you must buy now. You need to learn to wait. You need to learn to delay a few things. You need to learn to prioritize. Don't buy the things that are in vogue. Buy the things that can keep you in vogue. Don't buy the things that are in vogue. Buy the things that can keep you in vogue. What do I mean? Take, for example, Do you know that it is pressure that will eventually kill some people? It's not that it's their time. What kind of pressure will end up killing them? In their old age, maybe at 60 something, approaching 70, because you wasted your youthful years, you are still paying some bills that you should have stopped paying. Maybe because you can't keep your erection, you are still paying school fees at 70 something or at 60 something that you should not actually legitimately be paying. So that kind of pressure will be too much for some people, and you no longer have the energy to run around. So because you are sowing your seeds all over the place as a young man, you are not able to gather. Do you know what I mean? Because you are sowing everywhere, you are always sowing everywhere, it becomes very difficult to gather. So it's important to be financially disciplined. Ask yourself, sometimes I do something. If I earn 100,000, I write the 100,000 down. After spending it, I deliberately do that sometimes. I then begin to say, okay, I spent this, I spent it. I try to account for that 100,000 and then ask myself, did I spend it well? And in some other cases, in fact, I cannot even touch it until I said, this is what it's going to do, and then I begin to spend according to what is there. So financially, because if you are financially disciplined now, you will have peace in old age. You will have peace in old age. You see elderly people looking nice, doing well, they are comfortable, they are not under pressure for what to eat. How do you think they got there? You think it's a miracle? Or you think it's because they have maybe some of them are collecting pension, but for quite a number of them, it's not pension. They took care of their children. They sacrificed. They focused on the right thing. They even have houses left for their children. That's why the children can now come back and take care of some of them. And some of them don't even need the children's money. It's just because of biblical blessings that you must take care of your parents so that your days may be long on the land of the living. That's why they're just taking it from their children. They don't need anything their children brings. Why? They sacrificed. They were financially disciplined. And now they stand gidigba, as we will say. Whether the children bring or they don't bring, they are comfortable. They are not under any pressure. You want your future to be like that? Don't eat your future now. Look at all the richest people in the world. All the richest people in the world. Start from the Tesla guy, Elon Musk. Look at Bill Gates. Look at Jeff Bezos. Look at Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg. When they show, do they wear Gucci? Do they wear Dolce & Gabbana? Do they wear Louis Vuitton? No. It's only one color of shirt that Mark Zuckerberg wears all the time, and is worth over $70 billion US. 70 billion. You know the kind of money they call billion? Ottoman BC. Is the one that it on me non pay ni million. It on B non pay ni billion. In other words, the money self-multiplies. Yet he would only wear a gray shirt every day of his life, one gray shirt, a cheap shirt for that matter, and jeans. But you see people that don't have money, they want to wear Dolce & Gabbana, they want to wear Gucci, they drive the most expensive cars. But rich people will drive one car for 10 years, one car 20 years. This investment man, Warren Buffett, has been living in the same house that he inherited from his mother for the last 30 years. And is one of the richest men in the world. Be financially disciplined. Then, I'll stop on this one because of my time. Collaboration. One of the greatest secrets of succeeding in this life is to understand the power of collaboration. Say with me, collaboration. Say it loudly, collaboration. You just need to meet one person or a few people for your life to succeed. How does a car work? It's actually collaboration. You put the key in the ignition, you roll it. As the ignition responds, it sends a message to the spark plug. And as the spark plug responds, it sends a message to the fuel tank. As the fuel tank supplies the fuel, it sends a message to the belt. As the belt responds, the belt rolls the engine. It's by collaboration that the car is working. And it is by collaboration that you are going to succeed. Sometimes a lot of young people, they will steal my idea, they will steal my idea, they will steal my idea. They will steal my idea. That's what you've been on in the last 10 years. You have not done one thing. You don't have 1 million naira. They will steal my idea. They will steal my idea. The person that can help you, you're unwilling to share. There are ways to guide all these things to make sure that they don't steal your idea. And even if your idea is stolen, don't forget, it's always like taking a cup into the ocean and drawing with a cup out of the ocean. Have you lost the source of the idea? Is God not the source of the idea? The Bible says there is a spirit in man. The inspiration of the Almighty gives him understanding. Job 8:32. So if you still have the Spirit of God, they take one idea from you, God is still there now. He will give you other ideas. And in some cases, even that idea that they steal from you, they still cannot execute it the way you will execute it. So you may still execute the same idea and still succeed. Don't hold back. Look for people to collaborate with. Today, it was mentioned earlier that I'm in the training world. You see, all my big trainings, all the biggest trainings I've ever gotten was by collaboration. I'm flying next weekend to Bauchi to train some staff of CBN. How did I get it? Collaboration. In June, I trained FCMB twice. I trained them in April. I trained them last year. I've been training them since like 2019. They have sent me another letter to train them in August. How did I get the FCMB training? Collaboration. I train general managers. General managers are very senior people in Lagos State government too. General managers and GMs and directors. Very like heads of agencies. I trained them. How did I get it? Collaboration. Stop thinking that you will do it all by yourself. You need to find someone that has been where you are, that has been to where you're going to, or you need to find someone that knows the way that you can follow. Sometimes you need the spirit of discernment. You need to have insight and look like this person. It looks like this person is bright. This person is going somewhere. If I follow this person or if I partner with this person, what I'm doing will explode. So don't try to hold. Young people in our days don't collaborate. How do you think Facebook exploded? All the e-commerce companies that are exploding in Nigeria today, how do you think they are doing it? It's collaboration. They are doing it with other people. And you notice that all of them have partners. And when companies want to put funds in your business and they realize that you have a system, you have partnerships, they realize that, okay, so if anything happens to you, God forbid, they know that the business is going to continue to run because there's a system in place or you have collaboration. So it's important that you collaborate with other people. Whatever it is that you want to do, find a way to collaborate. Collaboration does not take away your credibility. You know why some people don't want to collaborate? They don't want to collaborate because they don't want to take the glory alone. So if you want to take the glory alone for something, and at the end of the day, the thing does not happen, do you get any glory? So collaborate, share the glory. The most important thing is for money to be smiling into your account, isn't it? So why are you holding back? Because you don't want somebody else to take the glory. And at the end of the day, you don't achieve. Please look for someone else that you can do something with. The only thing I'm going to advise you is, don't just tell somebody, okay, we have become partners and you have started business. No. It's still important to put something on black and white. You can get a number of lawyers to do that for you for free. And I know some pretty good lawyers who can do it for free. They will give you an agreement. You are going to decide how much this person is bringing on board. You are going to decide how much your partner is bringing on board if you're going to start a business. And they will say how you will be sharing money and when you're going to be sharing money if money comes in. How you're going to share your losses as well. There are people who can do that for you. There are documents online as well that you can also edit for such. But make sure that you don't just edit and sign. Edit and let a lawyer still take a look. So that takes care of it. Because of our time, I'd like to stop here, and I hope that you've learned something in the little time that we have spent together. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. FOLA, Daniel ADELESI. Thank you so much. Please, I want you to give him a standing ovation because I'm personally impressed with what he has told us today. I have gained a lot personally, and I'm sure the same happens to all that have listened to him. Thank you so much, Mr. FOLA ADELESI. We thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, the next item now is question and answer, and this is going to be anchored by our distinguished Professor Yomi Akinye. Prof, please, you anchor the next session, sir. The question and answer. Please come up to the high table.
Thank you very much. Let me congratulate the speaker once again for a very straightforward, insightful, and stimulating presentation. I have attended so many of these. They talk from perspectives. His approach was participatory, engaging, simple, and straightforward, as he put it. So I'm sure most of you, all of you, should be able to follow. He has expressed this thing with enough clarity that there is no need to go over. He gave a definition of goal setting is, the procedure for doing that, and what you require to make your goal a reality. He's backed it up with scriptural, citations. So I'm sure you have found this interesting. All the same, somebody said when you go to a gathering to make a presentation, if nobody asks you a question, it's either of two things. It's either you have been totally understood or totally misunderstood. I want to believe this is an articulate audience. You will have some areas to clarify. So it's the session for your questions, your comments, and what have you. But before then, in most of the presentations I've gone to on goal setting, they use the formula SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of whatever goal you are setting. Although he has not put these in the same perspective, but in his own style, he has gone over that those steps, and I'm sure you have your own responses. So the session is open for questions, comments, observations, and views. Yes, it's your session. It defined the goal as a desired result, which you deliberately work towards, and it gave instances and what you are required for this to work. You write the goal down, you meditate on it, you plan towards it, you collaborate, you are disciplined morally, financially, and it gave all of this. Those I could remember, even though I was not jotting down. So within that context, we welcome your comments, your questions, your observations, and your views.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Adeshina. Thank you for the teaching you have given. The question is, why setting the goal? What about the parental factors of us actually doing that particular thing? For example, if our parents are not in support of that particular goal, because some people are presently in school but have goals to also be in school and also have a business that he or she can run while in that school, which will not affect your academics. So how do we set these goals and without affecting our parental factors to it?
Sorry, I didn't hear what factor do you call parental factor, right?
Parental factors, sir.
Sorry, we'll take some questions before he responds, and then another round. Okay.
Good afternoon. My question is, you mentioned something about delayed gratification. So I just want you to shed more light on delayed gratification. Thank you.
Take the first five. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, mine is an observation.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Chukwuike Wachuku.
Okay.
So it's more of an observation than a question. And it's regarding phones, expensive phones. Well, I would say for a reasonable youth, buying a good phone is an investment and not stupidity per se. I was using an